I got in Scientology because my parents were in Scientology before I was born. And my mom was on staff when I was born.
Did you go to Scientology schools when you were a child?
No.
No. So you were with a lot of other children who weren't Scientologists.
Yeah. The only thing which I can say is when it came up that I was a Scientologist, it was like that the teachers were aggressive to me, and they were like telling the other the other students in the class that I was a criminal person, and that I should get penalties, and that I shouldn't be in that school, and I should leave the school. And my parents came, and they gave them the book, What is Scientology? And it didn't take a week, and that book came to the director of the school, and he was reading the book. He was like really studying, like Scientology says. If you don't understand a word, clear it up in a dictionary. You know, if you have a lack of mass, do demonstrations. You know, if you have a too high gradient, you go back to that point where you have understood everything and you have no problems anymore. So that's what he did. So then I was like, he was hiding me when any person was trying to hit me or something like that.
So he backed you up then.
Yeah.
Yeah. So you grew up studying L Ron Hubbard's works, and you thought L Ron Hubbard was a great...
He was a god. He was like, for me, he was my god.
If you had a problem, would you turn to...
I was turning to the books, what he read.
And did they help you?
Well, for example, the ethics book, I was trying to do the conditions, but nothing was really changing on that point. I was always thinking, well, nothing changed with me. I'm not a free person, but I was doing the conditions.
What did you think was wrong with you that you were trying to improve?
Well, in the ethics book, it's there stated if somebody doesn't want help, or if somebody gets help, and you still have the feeling that he's not getting help, and there's no change, and he has no wins and everything, he's a suppressive person. So at that point, I was really thinking I was a suppressive person.
Were you worried about that?
Yeah.
And now you are a suppressive person. Are you worried about that?
No, not anymore.
All right.
They asked me, do you want to help to clear the word? And I said, yes, I want to help to clear the word. I want that every single person who is criminal to get some penalty, so they don't do the same things again. So they told me, well, you're on the right place. You have to go to the Sea Org, and you do some stuff. You do MEST work before, and then you do 6 courses. And I said, okay, well, what kind of MEST work do I do? And they said, well, you're going to clean the toilets. And 2 days later, I was on the EPF. And the first 1.5 weeks, I was crying every single day. I was like really crying because I was missing my parents. And I spoke to my parents about 3 times a day. At that point, I didn't go to school. I did about 8 or 9 months I was doing MEST work and doing the EPF. And I had pain, like everywhere in my body. I couldn't work anymore, so I didn't do the MEST work. I didn't continue the MEST work. I started working in the qual office. And then the captain of ASH UK, she was saying, Darlene, I just know Darlene, that's what her name is. And she went to the qual sac and told them, listen, she has to go on MEST work to do the real EPF, or otherwise she has to go back to Germany. So he was asking me if I want to continue the MEST work, and I said, no, I'm not going to continue the MEST work. I want to go home to my parents.
Were you surprised that you had to clean toilets and so forth?
I wasn't really surprised to clean the toilets. I was more surprised what kind of MEST work I had to do. Because one kind of MEST work I did was, you know St. Hill, right? A little bit?
I know of it. I've never been there.
Okay. Well, you know there's St. Hill, here is St. Hill Manor, where L Ron Hubbard has lived. And there is the castle, and here is the hill, and here is the lake. And everything which comes from the toilets goes through the lake, through a pipe. And that pipe was broken. So me as an APFer, I had to take the shit from the toilets out from the lake with a jumpsuit, right, and with my hands. And I couldn't believe that I should do that. Or like building castles.
How many people were doing that with you? Was this,
We were 4 people.
4 people?
Mm.
And you did this for how long?
For 1.5 weeks.
And did anyone protest? Did anyone?
I protest. I said, I'm not going to do that. And he said, well, if you're not going to do that, then you're not following the, yeah. Mm-hmm. How do you say that in English?
But you're
not following what I say. No, how do you say that?
Orders and
Orders, exactly. You're not following my order, so you are at ethics. You have to go to ethics. I said, okay, well, I'm going to follow your order, and I'm going to do that.
But no one was concerned that of a possible illness.
No.
And
If you're ill, you're PTS, and you have out ethics.
so if you're ill, it's your fault. It's not bacteria.
No,
the crap
your fault.
You're carrying around.
Exactly, because you did out ethics. You have OWs. So the only reason why you can go PTS on somebody or something, you have OWs.
So you did this for a week and a half.
Yeah.
And what else did they have you doing?
Well, I built the stables.
Build them? You were out there with hammers and nails?
Yeah, exactly. Or I was raking. In St. Hill, everywhere is grass.
Yes.
So we were raking all grass in St. Hill. Or we were sweeping the whole way, which is going through to St. Hill.
When did you start in the morning? When did you stop?
I start in the morning at 8 o'clock, and I stop working at about 5 o'clock in the afternoon. And then I went at 6 o'clock on study.
Oh, you studied
So-
for how long?
Till 10 o'clock.
And was this schedule difficult for you?
It was difficult because I had the feeling that I'm not getting enough sleep. I was always tired. And the food over there was beans and rice.
That's all you ate?
Not all the time. Sometimes we had salad, sometimes we had potatoes, but the potatoes there was too much salt on the potatoes, or the salad there was not enough salt or not enough pepper or oil or yeah.
Did you have meat?
We had sometimes meat.
Sometimes.
But not very often.
And how many meals a day did you have?
Once in the morning, in the afternoon, and in the evening.
And for breakfast, what would you normally have?
Sometimes we had cheese toast, or we had eggs,
Yeah.
or sometimes we didn't have enough time to eat breakfast.
And then you're really, so
Yeah.
you'd go without breakfast, and you'd be out there working all day long. But your other 2 meals in the day were ordinarily what you said before, rice and beans and cabbage.
Well, rice and beans came when when ASHUK didn't make enough money. Basically, they're doing the money. So, and if they're not doing enough money, the whole crew, the whole St. Hill crew, gets shit food, except CMO and CLO. And the rest get shit food.
So because the org was down stat, you suffered.
Exactly.
Did it make you want to work harder?
Yeah.
Did you feel it was right that you would be penalized like that?
No. I had the feeling, if the crew ASHUK is not making enough money, it's not my fault. Because that's their job to make the money. It's not my job to make the money. My job was to do the MEST work, to go and study.
Did you express that to people?
No, if I would have, no. Some other person did that, and that person went to ethics.
So you saw.
I saw that, yeah,
And that silenced you.
exactly.
But this MEST work was first couple of weeks, you said, or
8 months.
8 months.
Yeah, I did that 8 months.
Before you were worthy of joining the Sea Org.
The first time I didn't really join the Sea Org, because you have to finish the EPF, and And if you don't finish the EPF, you're not starting to be a Sea Org member. You're not a Sea Org member before you haven't finished the EPF. So the second time when I went on the EPF, I finished the EPF during, I think it took 3 or 4 weeks. And and then I was a Sea Org member.
And what were the courses you took in that one?
Well, I did a course regarding studying, how do you study? And then I did a course called Welcome to the Sea Org.
What was that like? What did you learn in that?
Well, how is the ship built? What kind of why is the Sea Org?
But you weren't on a ship.
No, I wasn't on a ship.
But you had to learn how the ship was built.
Exactly, because the Sea Org is like a ship. Like if you were on the ship.
I see. What do you learn in the ethics course?
Everything about ethics. Yeah, I had to read the whole ethics book and about 30 other policies, FOs or HCO policies about ethics.
I was never in Scientology. It seems like Scientology's idea of ethics is far different from the real world's view of ethics. Were there any contrasts that you saw in Scientology ethics? Is there anything that we would find interesting? Anything that struck you odd when you were taking the course?
Well, the only thing which I couldn't really understand was the thing about the suppressive person. Because there is like about 20 points about a suppressive person. And I was like thinking, well, okay, my dad is a suppressive person. My grandma is a suppressive person. You know, that was the kind of thought I had when I was reading it. So that's the reason why I couldn't understand it.
You thought they fell into these traits that made up a suppressive person?
Exactly. And during that time, I was also thinking that I myself was a suppressive person.
And then some Scientologists, weren't they?
Yeah. And then there was coming one point where it says a suppressive person never thinks that he is a suppressive person. So somebody who thinks he is a suppressive person isn't a suppressive person.
That sounds like L Ron Hubbard thinking.
Yeah.
So you're back with your family for how long again before you go back?
I came back when I was, I think, about 1 or 2 months before I was getting 14. And then I was till I was 15 there. And in the summer holidays of Munich, I think that was a July or something. July, I think 92 or 91 or something. I went back to St. Hill. But the only reason why I went back to St. Hill was because I was actually supposed to go on stage and sing.
But
But at the first time I came there, they grabbed me and they would bring me to the recruitment office. And they told me, well, everything what happened in the past is all cancelled. It happened and nobody's going to look at it. And you have a new chance to come to the Sea Org, to do the EPF, to finish the EPF. Everything has changed. The rule has been harder. And the EPFIC has harder rules, and he really has to take care of his EPFer, and the CMO is pushing everything and things like that. And they gave the promise that I'm going to go to school, and I told them, well, if I can do career as a singer in the Sea Org, I'm going to come. Otherwise, I'm not going to sign the contract. And they promised that I go to school, and it never happened.
So when you came back, did you have to go through the EPF again?
Yeah.
And was it as brutal?
Well, I didn't do the same thing like with the lake story there.
Right.
But
the pipe was probably fixed by that.
Yeah, exactly.
So what type of things did they have you doing then?
I was helping to build Walsh Manor. This is like a real big building, like, how about this building?
Yeah.
And I was helping to build that building. This is the building for all staffs in the UK and all Sea Org members in the UK, where they live.
And same type of schedule, 8 till 5, then study at night. And how long were you working on this then?
4 weeks.
4 weeks, and then you graduated this time, and you became part of the Sea Org.
Exactly.
And What was that like?
I was feeling like, man, I did it. I really did it. Yeah.
So you had a win.
Yeah, I had a real big win.
Yeah. And was the Sea Org what you expected?
Yeah. At that point, yes.
So what type of jobs were you doing?
I was for about 2 years, I was a receptionist. Like, if you're a receptionist, you're responsible for everybody who's in the building in ASH UK. You have to know where's the CEO. You have to know where all the executives are. If a public comes, you have to have a routing form. You're responsible that all routing forms are there. There's about 20 or 30 different routing forms you have to have. You're responsible that the public are going to the reg office to give them money, you know. I was responsible for all the letters which come in and go out. I was responsible for what else? I was writing about 100 letters a day to publics.
What were those letters?
Like, for example, you have a file, right? And you take a look at the file. What did the person in Scientology? How long has the person haven't been there? For example, you write in this letter, dear Bean or whatever. How are you? My name is blah blah blah. I was taking a look at your file. I saw that you did this in Scientology, and you haven't been a long time in Scientology. What's happened? Love, blah blah. Love Vivien or something.
So you're just trying to bring people back into the org.
And trying to find out what happened to the person. Why didn't the person come back? The first year, I've seen my parents Christmas for 3 days. And then when I came back, before I wanted to go, I had a CSW. The CSW was approved. CSW is like completed situation work.
Right.
Exactly. So there you have to explain, for example, situation. I want to go to Germany to my parents. Then you have to write why. For example, I haven't seen my parents for 1 year, and I have got 2 sisters, and I want to see my sisters. I want to have a little bit of time with my family. And then you have to write what was the other point? I can't remember. And then you have to write, please approve the CSW. And then you have approve and disapprove. So she let me go to my parents. When I came back after 3 days, I went to ethics. Because she says I was blown. I had to write LWs, overs and withals, and had to do the conditions from treason onwards.
Did you find that helpful?
No. I was pissed.
Had you blown?
Pardon me?
Had you blown at that point?
No. The CSW was approved.
Mm-hmm. Did this make you want to blow?
Yes.
How long after this incident did you actually blow?
I never blew.
You never did?
No.
So how did you leave Scientology?
Well, there was a situation, which I have to say, when I was still the receptionist, Tanya was a friend of mine, and I had a 2D. You know 2D?
2D, no.
Second dynamic. That means boyfriend.
Oh, okay.
I had a boyfriend, and he was the FBO, the finance banking officer. And he was working in Birmingham. And we had some troubles because his boss, we had the feeling that she was doing third partying. You know third partying?
Yes. Explain it to me, though.
That means like that some person is trying to destroy our relationship. She's trying to tell him, listen, she's out ethics. She's not a good person for you. You can't marry her. She's not doing a good job. And it's not a good idea because you're in Birmingham, she's in ASH. You can't see each other every single day. You see in every 2 weeks or every 4 weeks or something. You have no chance to really have a relationship. That kind of stuff happened. And Tanya wrote a report about it. And this lady, which was the boss, she was in CMO. CMO is the Commanding Management Office. I think so, like that. Commanding Management Office. Yeah, command management office, exactly. And this is the highest organization in St. Hill.
And what was the result of?
The result was I was taken off my post, and I went to ethics.
You went to ethics because she was
writing a report. I had to go to the boss of the boss from the FBO, yeah. And she was asking me, why did I say that, and blah, 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 blah. And this went like on and on and on and on. And she says, well, you're going to go to ethics and you're going to write your Ws because you have something fault with you. Your personality is fault. So I went to ethics and, I finished the relationship between me and him. And some other time there was another boy. And he came from Venezuela. He was working in the Freewinds office. You know what Freewinds office is? You know the Freewinds, right?
Yeah, that's the ship, right?
Exactly. That's the ship where you can do your OT8. So he was working for the office, for the Freewinds office. The Freewinds office has the responsibility to get people on the ship, to get revitalized on Scientology, to get them, move up the bridge or do OT8 or something like that. So first of all, we started to have a relationship like brother and sister, right? And this went like more and more. So real relationship. And we were really in love to each other. And
was it easy having a relationship in Scientology?
No, because when you're in a Sea Org, you're not allowed to have sex, or you're not allowed to do heavy petting. I wanted to find out, I wanted to find out how is sex, I didn't know anything.
Did you have any education?
No. Nothing.
There was no one you could turn to?
No. So we did more than we were allowed to, and we swore to each other. We say, we are not going to say anything like this. 2 weeks later, it came up. He got an interview with the not with Shadow. I can't remember the post. It's like, here is the COCLO, and one post behind below it.
Okay.
So that guy, he was asking him questions like, well, what kind of relationship do you have with Vivien? And he broke the swore, and he told him everything. He went to ethics, and he did the EPF again. And me, I went to ethics. I got asked again. I was shut in a room for about 3 days to write OWs, to write everything down about it. And there was another situation come up with another guy. With me.
Yeah.
With another guy, and if you do liability, liability, right? Okay, that's one of the conditions you do. So I wrote down a knowledge report about somebody else who was doing, who went out to eat with me, who was married, and who slept with me, and who was pushing me to do that, which I didn't want to do. And this report went to the COCMO, and I had to speak with her about it. I spoke with her about it. I swore her, this is the truth I wrote down. She didn't believe me. She was asking him about it. He was saying, this is not true. We never slept with each other. I never told her to do that, etc. So then I got on the call sex here from the CMO, right? She's like, I don't really know what she actually does. The only thing I know is that I went on the e-meter and she was asking me questions like, is that the truth? And, I had to tell her the whole situation again. And the needle was floating. So if the needle is floating, I was telling the truth. So he left the post. He went to ethics. And I was still in ethics. And the RTC office was there. And I was still writing OWs. And I had to go to the e-meter so they can check if I was finished with the OWs. I did this about 5 times. And they told me, you're not finished with the OWs. You can go back to write your OWs. I wrote about 4 weeks, I wrote OWs. And then I started writing OWs, which I've never done, to write another OW. So that I wrote this OW, which is not true. I never did this OW, because I didn't know any OWs anymore. So then I went on the e-meter, and the needle was still not floating, And then I said, okay, well, listen, guys, fuck off. I'm not going to continue my OW writing. I wrote my OWs, and if you not believe that I'm finished, I'm not going to do it anymore. I'm going to sit somewhere, and I'm going to wait till I can go. So then they told me, there's an FO. The FO is called Out-Int. No, 2D rules. And in this FO is stated what happens to somebody who goes Out-Int. And usually, if you would have been on a ship and you went Out-Int, they're gonna take you and throw you overboard. So they want me to go on the RPF, and I knew that I had somebody's friend of my parents was on the RPF for 6 years. So I said, I am not gonna go on the RPF. Because if I go on the RPF, I'm going to take maybe 8 years. So then I said, well, I'm going to leave the Sea Org. So then they were trying to tell me, well, if you leave the Sea Org, you still have OWs and blah, blah, blah. And Out-Int? Do you know that? Out-Int? No? Out-Int is like, the Scientologists, they say, you have a thetan.
Yep.
You are a thetan.
Right.
And you have a body. And if you have problems that your thetan comes into your body and leaves the body, if you have problems with it, you get you get headache pain, your whole body is painful, you're feeling sick, and things like that. And the CS was saying, you are out. You're Out-Int. So usually what happens if somebody is Out-Int is the person gets a rundown, an Out-Int rundown. And until this rundown is not finished, the person is not allowed to study, is not allowed to get any kind of work clearing. The person is not allowed to get anything else on the bridge or sec checks or things like that. What happens? I got a sec check, and I was still Out-Int. So I got the sec check, and in the sec check came up that my needle was floating all the time when I wrote my OWs, and I went there and, I took the cans. And although it came out in this 4 months, I was 20, for 4 months, I got 24 hours watched.
For 4 months?
4 months, yeah.
Somebody was watching you 24 hours a day?
Yeah. Security.
How do they do that?
Well, wherever I wanted to go, somebody has to come with me. If I wanted to go to the toilet, somebody has to come with me and stand in front of the toilet and check if I was still in the toilet. So if I wanted to go eat, I was eating with the RPF people. If I wanted to talk to my parents, someone who speaks German has to listen to the phone call. So then it came up that I was telling my parents that I'm getting a fitness board and I'm going to root out of the Sea Org. So I was told, well, there's a policy called leaving a lease. And in this policy, you're not allowed to tell anybody when you're leaving somewhere. So, and in the section it came up, and they were trying to tell me that this is my penalty, that I should get penalty for it, that I'm a suppressive person, because in this policy says if somebody tells that the person's gonna go, the person gets a suppressive. It's like the person gets to a suppressive person. So, well, this came up and this came up, and when I came out of this session. And I had to go to the examiner. You have to take the cans again, and it's going to check if the session is okay. I was red tagged. And red tag means that the session was not successful. There's something happened in the session which was not right. And the person has the reactive mind is going completely crazy, or it could be that the person, after a few hours, the person gets sick, or the person, whatever happens to the person. This happened. So I went in session again within 24 hours, because if you don't get in session within 24 hours, all stats of the HEC is 0. So I went back in session, and they were asking me, they gave me some list, whatever it was, I can't remember. And they were asking me some questions if there is something happened in session which I was not agreed with. I said yes. The point of that, I was violating the policy leading a lease. I said, listen, I'm not violating this policy. I just told my parents that I'm going to come back to Germany. And this is not violating this policy. Because I didn't tell anybody of St. Hill Manor that I'm leaving the Sea Org. I didn't tell it.
Why would that be such a big crime if you had told somebody?
Well, this would mean that I have OWs, and this would mean that I would have criminal acts. And this would mean that I would maybe black PR the Sea Org and black PR Scientology.
So would it...
They get in danger.
In essence, would your telling somebody in the Sea Org that you were leaving, would that maybe make them doubt?
Yeah, exactly. And that's the reason why I was not allowed to tell. Well, in this 4 months I was studying, I was getting work clearing, which I wasn't allowed to. I was writing OWs. I was doing MEST work.
Isn't this frustrating when you want to leave?
Yeah.
For 4 months, they're keeping you there?
I had the feeling that they just want to destroy myself. That I'm like, that when I leave, I have no chance to survive. I mean, when I went back to Germany, my weight was 42 kilograms. Normally, if I would go to the doctor he would just send me to the clinic. You know, clinic? Hospital? Right. Kind of hospital.
Right.
Yeah.
I'm not familiar with kilograms. So that means you were painfully thin?
Yeah.
And yet no one there at the org suggested you go to a doctor or that you should be concerned.
No. I'm going to start crying.
Were you concerned about your health at that point?
Yeah.
Could you express that to anyone?
Well, I mean, to somebody who was there?
Yeah.
No.
It's because it's your fault.
I mean, I was like feeling for the past 4 months that I was going step for step to that point that I'm going to die.
You were wasting away emotionally and physically.
And it was like in this 4 months I was not allowed to talk to my parents.
You know, people from the outside who don't know Scientology, they ask, why didn't you just leave? Why didn't you?
I was trying to leave. My aunt was coming over there. She's English and she's living in the UK, and she was visiting me, and she was waiting for an hour to see me till they found me, and she wanted me to come with her to go to drink a coffee. And at this point, when I wanted to go in this car, in this point when I wanted to jump in the car, the security guys came and they just took me away.
They physically grabbed you, did not let you go.
No.
Where did they take you?
On my arms.
But they took
on their shoulders, yeah.
Right. They took you back and locked you in a room.
They took me to security, and then I went to HCO, and they started to tell me that I have OWs, and I said I have no OWs. I can go on the emitter. I have no problems with it. I went on the emitter and had a floating needle.
Was your aunt still concerned that you?
She was concerned.
Did you find out later that people were trying to contact you?
The only thing I heard from my grandma, because I'm in contact with my grandma since about, I think, 3 weeks or something like that. Ushi, she was the person who was helping me to get in contact with her, because all her sons and daughters, they're all in Scientology, except one person. So she went in contact with my grandma, and we did an appointment, and we saw each other, and she told me that my aunt was really concerned, and she wanted to find out what happened.
How long after this before you finally were able to get out? How long after this incident where they took you physically? What happened?
Well, the security guards were everywhere. Wherever I went, the security guards were. When I was sleeping, the security guards were standing outside of the building and checking the windows, and in front of the door. One lady, she blew. 5 minutes later, they grabbed her and brought her back. So then I saw, okay, you have no chance to blow. You have no fucking chance. So I said then, okay, well, you just have to wait till they leave you.
What were you thinking? I mean, did this make any sense at all? That somebody wanted to leave and they could?
Well, I didn't understand it because when I signed the contract, they told me if you want to leave, you can leave. There's no problem.
But that wasn't the case.
No.
So how did you get out?
How did I get out? The RTC office was telling the CMO that to do everything that I leave the Sea Org, because I'm danger for the Sea Org, that I'm danger for Scientology if I still stay in Silent Hill.
So by that time they wanted you out?
Yeah. They were talking to my parents, and they were telling my parents that I'm going to come back to Germany. I was not allowed to talk to my parents all this 4 months. And they just told my parents, okay, listen, get a ticket for this lady. Tomorrow, she has to leave. We don't want her anymore. So my parents did this. They just organized the ticket. I came back. Just before I decided to leave Scientology was because my husband was homosexual. And I found that out after 4 months.
And you got married at what age?
18.
How old was he?
Pardon me? How old is he?
Was he?
31. And he was on staff in Hamburg. Well, he is on staff in Hamburg.
He still is?
He still is. So when I found that out, he kicked me out of the apartment. And I started to drink. To go and party every single weekend. I was starting to take drugs. To take grass. I was smoking grass.
Right.
And
you were still in Scientology?
No.
No, you had left.
Yeah, but not officially. And then I gave myself up as an American. When I was in the disco, I met somebody who is American, and some German guy who's now my boyfriend, and we are together since then. And he just, like after some time, ages and ages, my dad came to my boyfriend, and he said that I'm German, and he told the whole story, and he wanted to take me and to punish me for everything. So, well, at the next day, I came to a friend of mine who's a Scientologist. Maybe she's not a Scientologist anymore, I don't know. And they said, okay, well, listen, if you go to the org and if you go on ethics and you do the ethics program they give you, you can live there and we're going to support you on everything. Well, I did that. And then I got apartment. Then I was living in Wedel, which is about 30 kilometers from Hamburg. And I just left everything. I left my parents. I left this lady. I left everything. And after some time, I told everything my boyfriend about the Sea Org, about Scientology, about everything. So he told me, listen, you have got, there are two situations, me or Scientology. I said, listen, I don't want Scientology anymore. So he told me, I was calling Ingrid. She was the ethics officer from Hamburg. And I told her, listen, I'm gonna leave Scientology. And I don't want to do anything in Scientology anymore. Nothing. I don't want any calls. I don't want any mail. I don't want anything. So she told me, okay, give me this in writing. So I wrote everything down. I told her, listen, I didn't go to school. I have no opportunity to do anything so I can work properly. I had no real children. I don't know how you call that in English.
Childhood.
Yeah.
Yeah.
So these are the reasons. And, I put the other point, whatever happened in the UK, this point. So I sent her that. 3 or 4 days later, my parents were standing in front of my apartment. And my mom came in. My dad left again. He just had an appointment or something. And my mom told me, okay, well, whatever happened, she started to talk to me. And then she came to the point, why do you want to leave Scientology? I said, listen, I want to leave Scientology, whatever happened in the UK. And I'm pissed about this situation. I didn't go to school. You didn't take the responsibility that I go to school. And I have the damage now. And I have to put my life in a real position so I can really live and survive. And you didn't do your job as a mom. So she told me, okay, well, listen, what's going to happen in 50 years? I said, listen, I'm not going to change my decision, which I made. I don't want to be a Scientologist anymore. Whatever happened in Scientology, I don't want to have it anymore. I don't want to go through the same situations which I have done. So she told me, okay, well, I give you 1 week, and you can decide in this 1 week if you want to come back or if you really want to be a non-Scientologist anymore. I said, okay. So she told me, well, if you leave Scientology, you are never going to come in contact anymore with your family, with your sisters, with me, with your aunts, with your grandma, with your grandpa, with nobody. You're not going to be in contact with anybody. And we don't want you. I said, okay. And then, I started crying about this. Because I was just thinking, which mom is doing this? So, I was like, when she left, I was just about to kill myself.
And have you had any contact with him since?
Well, I called my dad once because I needed to have the certificates that I was at school. So I could finish, the lowest class of school.
Right.
And then they came up. He sent that letter. It goes through the post office, and I have to take it from the post office. So I went to the post office and got this letter. And in this letter, he wrote a letter, and in this letter was written that I would be a criminal and I would do criminal acts, and he never wants to talk to me again. He never wants to see me again, and nothing at all.
How long has it been now since?
1.5 years.
And your boyfriend is supportive, and
yeah, he is supporting.
And you have friends that you've made since
I start to make friends.
Yeah.
I start to learn to be in this civilization.
Is it easy to come out of Scientology having grown up in this?
No. You have the feeling that if you if you do something wrong, you're just a criminal. Whatever you do, you think it's your fault.
You know that's not true.
Yeah, but it still comes up.
It's ingrained.
I mean, since that time, I can't eat. Normally, I mean, Ushi says that that I should go to a hospital for about 3 weeks or something like that, and maybe it's going to change. But it's like, as soon as stress comes, forget it. There's nothing is going to stay in my body.
What would you like people to know about Scientology?
That they are just criminal. They do what they want with you. They're starting to kill you in some little bits. And when they finished with you, it takes you a long time to start being yourself again. To start to want to live. It's like you can't, when you come out of that, you have like the feeling of, if there's coming some situations where you don't know what to do, or you can't confront the situation, you want to kill yourself. So that's the reason why I would say, anybody who wants to go to Scientology, just don't go. Sooner or later, you're going to kill yourself if something is not going to happen.
Well, you're going to help people.
Yeah, I'm going to help people.
That people are going to help?
Yeah.
Okay.